What's going on, everybody? This is
and how they've made it through.
Blue Boat BPSP. I wanted to do a video real quick on this video on turn this joke off here, man. I'm sick and tired of hearing all this doom and gloom in the world today, man. But I wanted to do a video on one particular season Kobe Bryant had. You know what I mean? We all know that Kobe, first 3 titles, he was opposite of Shaq, you know, and then they had their little turmoil and everything, you know. Kobe felt a certain type of way to where he felt like he wasn't getting enough credit as far as who actually won those championships, you know, and led to some sort of resentment, jealousy, you know what I mean, you know, felt like he wasn't, like I said before, he wasn't getting the credit that he thought he deserved, you know, in that championship, those 3 championships with the Lakers back in the early 2000s. It led to a lot of jealousy, it led to a lot of resentment, led to a lot of dissension on, you know, both parts, you know. For me, you know, Kobe did some things, some questionable things that basically kind of sabotaged their chance of actually winning more championships with Shaq. Now, could Shaq have been a little bit more mature as far as how he handled the situation, as far as, you know, coming into shape and being in shape, rather? Yeah, he could have. Could have came into camp way better shape than he was, at least be basketball ready within a month. But, you know, there's a lot of faults on both sides, you know, but in long story short, Shaq was traded summer 2004. Then Kobe, you know, I mean, had the Laker roster to himself, and, you know, he, you know, was kind of, you know, basically inconsistent. They had a new coach, new system in place. I believe Rudy Tomjanovich was the coach for like 2 months, and then Frank Hamblin took over. You know, it was just a whole lot of dysfunction, you know, as far as like actually trying to put a team together around Kobe. You know, but that season was pretty forgettable on his part. He frequently got banged up because he had to carry much more of a load without Shaq. And that was like another learning curve in his career. First part of his career, he had Shaq. He had a solid, good team around him. Good coaching, good organization. When that equation was, you know, taken away, that equation was taken away. His career he had a reset in his career. And it was a tough reset, you know, but let's go to 2005, 2006. He basically, you know, you could see the maturity was starting to get there, but not quite yet. But although I will say, you can tell even he came back a much more smarter player as far as like understanding what leadership requires to be successful in the league, you know. He averaged 35.3 points per game, you know, and a lot of people say he got snubbed of the MVP that season. You know, he was doing everything per se as far as putting his team on his back and having get him a chance to win night in and night out. You know, and the scoring prowess was probably even better because he had learned to play within a system and carry significant amount of responsibility, you know. In a particular time, he scored, you know, 62 points in 3 quarters, which was, you know, pretty amazing within itself, you know, the way he did it, the array of moves, the array of skills he had. His post game was pretty. You could start to tell, kind of like how Jordan did middle of his career. You could start to tell he started to hone his skills more in the post, and he started, he was still athletic. He was still athletic, but you could tell he started to use his head more so than his athleticism. He started to transition in that part of his career, even though he didn't understand the actual concept of winning yet, of actually taking the responsibility of uplifting your teammates. But yeah, that was pretty amazing. That 81-point game, we all know what happened there. As far as, like I said before, an amazing array of skills, amazing array of ways he scored, and he got, did everything he could to put that team on his back that particular season, and it's like, when you compare that season and Steve Nash's, Steve Nash won the MVP the year prior, but to me, I think it was kind of more wide open as far as who actually deserved that MVP that season. So if the thing that hurt Kobe's chances, one, the Lakers only won 45 games that season. That's number one. Number two, the stigma of him driving off Shaq, not getting along with Shaq, basically having, Shaq being traded, that stigma was still there with some people, as far as like him actually getting the adulation and the recognition as far as being the top player in the league. And three, probably the most important one, the Colorado case, rape case. Even though he was cleared of all charges, right? He was definitely cleared of all charges. And to this day, I still think nothing really happened. That's my personal opinion. I don't know what anybody else thinks, but that's my personal opinion. Though Kobe probably has some faults of putting himself in that position. But then again, at the end of the day, I think he was framed. I think he was set up. Me personally. And that hurt him more than anything through corporate America. He didn't really have that many endorsements back then. He lost a couple of endorsements. I believe the Nike deal was kind of like in limbo at that particular time. That, and I gotta be honest here, white America, they look at somebody like a Steve Nash back then as like the great white hope, because back then, because so many people, diverse people, I'm just saying, African American people and other diverse people were dominating the league. Like, there wasn't really no players who were actually of that other side of race, as far as like somebody like a Larry Bird, and that was around the time the so-called hip-hop culture was destroying the league, and you have people like Allen Iverson under fire and everything for their dress codes and the way they carry themselves, But yeah, it's a deeper thing that went on with why I think Kobe, when you really actually think about it, he should have won that MVP award in 2006. Because when you think about it, Steve Nash won 7 less games in 2006 than he did in 2005. But you got to think, they lost Amari Stoudemire, they lost Joe Johnson in free agency. That's true, but I think everything was working against Kobe because of what happened in the previous couple years as to why didn't win an MVP award. I think the media at large kind of had a resentment towards Kobe back then. And I think they used Steve Nash as their scapegoat as to why, oh, he's making his teammates better. A lot of people thought the Phoenix Suns would fall off without Amari Stoudemire, because you remember Stoudemire missed that entire season with some type of ACL injury. I'm not sure what type of injury it was, but it was an ACL injury. And a lot of people thought the Suns were just going to fall off because their style of play, Amari was a critical piece in that. But I think the media kind of used Nash as a scapegoat not to give the MVP to Kobe that season. But they made up for it 2 years later, even though I think personally Chris Paul and Kevin Garnett were more deserving of the award than Kobe that particular season. Because in 2006, he was more efficient scoring the ball, and he was more keen in his prime. 2008 was finally the year I think he mastered the team game, even though his numbers weren't as electrifying as 2006. I think that was a consolation prize a couple years later, if you ask me. Because like I said before, I think Chris Paul or Kevin Garnett deserved the award a little bit more than Kobe did that season. But yeah, I think 2006, you can definitely make the case that Kobe got snubbed because he was putting up numbers. Nobody averaged close to 37 points per game. It wasn't quite that. I got to look back and look. But I'm quite sure it was around the 34, 35.6 points per game, And like I said, the array of shots he was making, the skill set, the nights where he would score 40, 50 points a game, it was remarkable,